Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little lovelies out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously, my little lovelies. Okay, so I'm going to be getting some lights this week, okay? I just need to go to a particular place because not all of the shops sell, little lights, to put around me my shoulders, you know what I mean, my little babies. But I can well assure you all now, my little babies, there we are, that my lights are shining, my lights are shining, my lights are shining, shining, shining. Okay, my little babies now. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 12:55 p.m. in our old England, my little babies, on the 9th of June 2026. Well, the sun has got his hat on, hip 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 hooray. Yeah, and it's rather windy today. And well, at least it's not raining. Although, again, today it was raining earlier. Okay, so they're going through the stage of come rain or shine. You know what I mean, my little baby? Look at that, the wind's picking up. Okay, my little babies now then. So, like I was talking about that little skip, that doesn't mean no, just got an itch. I was talking about the skip Madlish babies where I was getting some things out of, which I do happen to know the dear elderly gentleman, not in that way, not in that way, okay? Well, the skip's no longer there because what was happening was Madlish babies, okay? It was as much as he was like putting bits in, okay, my little babies, everybody was taking everything out. What was it? There was, a lovely table and chairs for the garden, my little babies. So there's a beautiful little family who took those. Then there was another two reclining, those white reclining, what you can lounge on, like in your garden, my little babies. Two of those, they went. Okay, everything's just gone. The boxes, the little I forgot what there was a little box I was going to say. Then it was on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, they went mad, little babies, and everything was just going. So it must be the only skip that I've known in decades, and I'm talking decades, mad, little babies. Okay, where the poor dear gentleman, sorry, I was just about to say his name. I won't say your name, our little lovely. That was failing to fill up. Okay, my little babies. So anyway, I do not know if he's going to be getting any more skips, but it just goes to show, on a serious note, my little babies, that it's an old-fashioned saying, isn't it? I used to say it on my readings when I used to do a lot of readings on my YouTube channel. What one man's junk, there we are, is another man's treasure. You see what I mean? So I've got to go and get some more pens, for my front gate, okay? So I did say to a beautiful little family who's got the table and chairs, because it's a nice, like a nice brown colour. But of course it could do with some sanding. I've got some, little brick, these sanders to sand it down. And I said to him, I says, you can sand it down a bit. I says, and then, just give it a wipe over, then repaint it. So I said, I've got to go and get some of this, stuff that you paint for fences. So, because the last one, somebody, it appears to myself, put the fist through it, you know what I mean, decided to spray it, in my garden. Whatever that silliness was about. Anyway, my delicious little babies, but I know for a fact it's not one of my neighbours. I know that for a fact, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So it's clearly got to be somebody else who was doing this, okay? It is certainly nobody immediate who I know. Okay, my delicious little babies, but I'm sure they're not far away. Okay, my delicious little babies, so yeah, so you can get lots out of skips. Well, anyway, I put up a shorty video yesterday evening, my little babies, because I still had the little black bag, because I just thought, I'll just, get some bits and pieces. And I picked up the pianist, however you pronounce that, my little babies. Yeah, so I thought I'd put that up. It's not really a video that I would ever watch myself personally, but there we are, but something just caught my attention. And while I was there, I'll go back to the little angel in a minute. And while I was there, amongst the books and everything, there was another one, Not My King. I think I might pop that up later on a short video, Mardlichtig Babies. This one here, does anybody remember years and years ago, Mardlichtig Babies? I am going back decades ago now. In the newspapers, in certain newspapers, they used to have these. Okay, Mardlichtig Babies, and could be anything, could be music. You know, could be lots of things, Mardlichtig Babies. What's this one? The Times, the Michael Palin collection, Full Circle, Alaska and Russia. Look at all the seagulls, Mardlichtig Babies. Anyway, well, actually, let's see what this is about. Yeah, Michael's journey through all of the countries bordering the Pacific Ocean. Make sure I can read this, Mardlichtig Babies, because otherwise I've got to go to hop, skip, and a jump to the next room to go and get my specs. And I always try my best never to wear my spectacles, Mardlichtig Babies. Not that I've got anything against anybody who does, you know, we've all had to, you know, look at the small print. There we are sometimes, haven't we, Mardlichtig Babies? Yes. Where was I? The Pacific Ocean was anything but Pacific. Oh? Washers on a spin. How I love my washing machine. As blizzards, Bogolo's, Bullet Street, and the Alaskan abandonment pushed him and the crew to the limit. Wasn't there a song? Take it to the limit one more time. Who's that? Was it Take It to the Limit one more time? Cannot remember who it was now, Mardlichtig Babies. Anyway, back to the matter in hand. But there was time for adventure, including crawling through the Viet Congo's Kuchi tunnels, Mardlichtig Babies tunnels, sharing a feast with headhunters in Borneo and helicoptering into the New Zealand's Tasman Glacier. Okay, Mardlichtig Babies, headhunters. Okay, so what's this about? Okay, this episode sees the start of the year, a long journey on the, what's that? Diomede Islands in the Bering Straits, which separate Russia and Alaska. Crossing from the Alaskan wilderness to the Russian territory of Kamchatka, is it Kamchatka? Michael Palin encounters Kodiak brown beans, spectacular volcanic scenery, vodka fish soup. Vodka fish soup? I've never heard of vodka fish soup, Mardlichtig Babies. I've heard of oh gosh, what's it called now? Basmati, basmati vinegar you can put in a stew, but you can also put bitter. Is it bitter? You put bitter. You can put bitter in a stew as well, Mardlichtig Babies. But I've never heard of a vodka in a fish soup. And sings with the Russian Navy. In the Navy, you can sail the 7 seas. In the Navy, you can put your mind at ease. In the Navy. I'm slightly out of tune there. Who is it? Oh gosh, who sang that? It was the ones who goes, who go. That's not correct English. Let's rewind and start again. It's the ones who sang YMCA. It's fun to say so. YMCA. It's that one. But I'm pretty sure they sang in the Navy as well, Maatelijk Babies, yes. Yeah, it's really fascinating, isn't it, Maatelijk Babies, especially when, well, that's an immaculate condition, look. You know, when CDs were invented. Anyway, Maatelijk Babies was invented a long time ago, weren't they, discs? And the other one, Maatelijk Babies, something, I don't know, that I picked up in between the books was Pride and Prejudice. What's this one about? The relationship between Mr. Darcy, a wealthy single man, and Elizabeth Bennet, a spirited young woman, provides the core of this emotional and compelling story, adapted by acclaimed screenplay writer Andrew Davies. This writing's slightly larger, you see, Mads Lichtlich Babies. Of course, you know, in our old England, they also say that you can use Braille as well. By the way, I'm not, by any means, that doesn't mean you're taking mickey out of anybody. Where was I up to? Andrew Davies. The series was given an energy rarely witnessed in costume drama and an electricity heightened by Jennifer. What's that? Ailey's passionate performance and Colin Firth's smouldering presence. The series was an immediate hit and took its place among the greatest ever television dramas. Okay, it talks about the gorgeous photography and superb acting. Yeah, you know, we've got quite a few actors in the world, haven't we, Mads Lichtlich Babies? Yes. And of course, you know, for many, maybe they thought that it could be British, what did they call it? British series or sitcoms or whatever you call it. And then Hollywood, I suppose, but it appears that we're seeing an awful lot. There we are on the stage, aren't we, Mads Lichtlich Babies? Yes. Yeah, where was I? And superb acting combine to faithfully evoke Jane Austen's classic novel. Yeah, Mads Lichtlich Babies, let's see if that's in good condition. Oh, that looks a little bit dusty and a little bit not as clean as that one, it seems. Anyway, Mads Lichtlich Babies, yeah, that's talking about Russia, yeah. I was listening to a trigonometry because I listened to some of their videos, Mads Lichtlich Babies, and with anybody not in that way, not in that way, yeah. And this morning they had a man on. Well, that's this morning when I was listening to the video, Mads Lichtlich Babies. I happen to enjoy listening to some of the trigonometries as well. They've got over 1 million subscribers, Mads Lichtlich Babies, and they were talking about they had a man on there, your man on there talking about Russia. Anyway, fast forward. And then they mentioned about what was it? Was it Constantine? It could have been Constantine, bless, you know, not in that way, not in that way, you know, where he happened to mention that, you know, a part of Russia, you know, the Chinese, I cannot remember where it was now, where the Chinese got Chinese streets in Russia. Mardelich look babies, you know what I mean? I mean, only from what I heard. You know, and as Constantine, bless him, not in that way, not in that way, like I just said, you know, because he's, you know, has Russian roots and everything. I thought, well, there we are. I thought I would listen, there we are, to what he had to say, bless. But you see, this is where ones can get confused, isn't it, Martin? Babies enough for myself. I was talking out loud, you know, because I do tend to do that. My beautiful dear little neighbours, bless them all, not in that way, not in that way. They know what I'm like. You know, when I start talking out loud, you know what I mean? Martin, little babies, okay, yes. And they all know that I enjoy listening to all different types of subjects and topics on my videos. If it's a lovely sunny day, they'll usually, bless them, be walking past where they're pegging washing out or getting it in or whatever, you know what I mean? Basically they'll always usually hear me listening to some sort of video. It's very occasionally when I have a very quiet day. It's usually if my spirit picks something up. Look, it's peeing down again now. This is what we got, my delicious little babies in our old England. So they'll give you a week of sunshine, and then we've all got to be either very fearful or very happy about it. And then the rest of the time it's come rain or shine. Okay, my delicious little babies, let's get back to the matter in hand. So yes, the thing is, I was saying it like out loud, because the way that I see it is, well, it's not China who's doing really the Russians, changing the streets from, I should imagine, Russian to Chinese streets, my delicious little babies. I feel that this is where there is maybe a slight bit of confusion. There we are, a slight bit of confusion here. Because you've got to remember, you see, that, the China doesn't own China. You see what I mean, my delicious babies? It's like anywhere, really. At one time, our countries that, we did used to own, but then again, you got to remember that, they just sliced us up, If I knew you were coming, I'd beat to gate. How'd you do? Yeah, I baked another cake yesterday, my delicious little babies. It was back to pineapple. So, sorry, I'm sort of flip-flopping here because there seems to be a pair of old flip-flops, on a patch of the grass. Anyway, one's over there and one's over there. My delicious little babies talking about, then I'll go back again to what I was talking about. Yeah, it appears in Jamaica, my delicious babies. Mind you, that's about 9 days ago now. Well, yeah, they were having problems, weren't they? Bless them. Not in that way, not in that way. It appears that there's something going round and making ones poorly. My delicious little babies now, prior to that, I remember talking about this on one of my videos. They were having dodgy weather. Whereas normally, like in a part of Jamaica, it'd be a beautiful, clear sunshine, my delicious little babies. Then, of course, now we've got to flip-flop over to Philippines, bless them. Not in that way, not in that way. And a huge earthquake. Sorry, my delicious babies. Once again, rewind and start again. It appears a huge earthquake, my delicious little babies. Now, if anybody was to tell myself, and I've known this, there we are, many, many, many years. See, now it's sunshining again, my delicious little babies. If anybody was to tell myself that earthquakes are just natural, well, I would be telling anybody, I do not want to hear that shit, because at the end of the day, they can get on the bike and pedal fast. Earthquakes do not just happen, my delicious little babies. There we are, they are caused. Okay, my delicious little babies, yes. And of course, then you've got Albania, my delicious little babies. Now, so I'm just trying to keep up with everything, you know what I mean? It's like boom, 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 they just keep going, just like Duracell to hurt them, my delicious little babies, yes. So, Albania, good on you, Albania. And I couldn't give a fiddler's F what anybody says to myself. They want to keep their land, they want to keep their island. Why shouldn't they be able to keep their island? Simple things. I'm just asking a question, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? They do not want it where you're going to have all of this crap or whatever else, like in other parts of the world. My delicious little babies, they do not want it. So there we are. So they're standing up for the damn selves. Bless you, Albania. Keep going. Yes. And let me tell you, I remember years and years and years back, somebody said to myself, my delicious little baby, because there was a particular pub in our old Brummyland. I'm not going to say where it is. And somebody had told me about this, and that was being... let's just say, taken over by the Albanians. Okay, my delicious little babies, let me tell you, they do not ramp. And they certainly didn't want anybody in their, their part of the territory in this pub, Mardlish babies. They certainly didn't want anybody else, outsiders, shall we say, coming in, not even for a pound. So who it was that told me said to myself that who they knew, well, basically, rather than drink the pint, they just walked out. And that's in our old England, Mardlish babies, yes. And that's many years back. Okay, there we are. Mardlish babies, okay. So all I can say is good luck to that, what is he, that poxy Prime Minister in Albania, because it appears to myself, only from what I'm hearing, that this Prime Minister, or whatever he calls himself, is clearly not a very good one. Is he, Mardlish babies? Well, apparently, there we are, stumbled there, rightfully so. Couldn't give a fiddler's F about his population. That's another one. You see, it goes on and on, because we're seeing it everywhere, aren't we, Mardlish babies? You see ones kind of come across as like, that's something else that was in this little black bag, really, really old. Look, that's a really, really old little angel. But the thing is, the angel's got no birth race. Can you see? It's covered over with hair. Let me get closer. Why would you do something pretty like that and cover the birth race with hair? But I noticed many, many, many years ago, they were making ornaments like that, Mardlish babies. So you had the full ornaments, but no birth race. Do you not think that's rather odd, Mardlish babies? Yes. But nevertheless, a pretty little thing. It'd be nice if I could put some little R's there. Can't see what's under the can't see what's under there. The hair. Can't see what's under there, Mardlish babies. There's no way of getting in without damaging it. But I just thought it was rather pretty. I found that in between the books and the DVDs or CDs, whatever you call them. In the old VHS. You remember the old VHS, don't you, Mardlish babies? The ones where that was like a piano, wasn't it? We had one. You had to bing to press it down on play. You remember the old cassettes, don't you, Mardlish babies? Rewind, forward, pause, play. You know what I mean, Mardlish babies, okay? So poor Albania at the moment. Well, as far as I'm concerned, well, there's an old-fashioned saying, isn't there, Mardlish babies? Old-fashioned Jamaican saying, if stick brook in your ear and you don't take heed, you're going to get what the duck give you. And it appears to myself the way that, not that I'm inciting anything, but judging by the colossal crowd, shall we say, in Albania, that at the end of the day, Mardlish babies, it appears to myself that your man there, the Prime Minister now, there we are, need to watch his back very nicely, you know what I mean? Mardlish babies, okay? Because it appears to myself he's rubbing his population up the wrong way. But my point is, what right does anybody, because they've got ching, 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 to just choose an island wherever you please and just buy it and just not give a shout about nobody else? What right has any of these little effers got? They've got none at all. Okay, Mardlish babies, usually I wouldn't even talk about this. To be perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't even bother. Okay? Because while they're keeping everybody, entertained, Mardlish babies, yes, there we are, 1,001 other things and more and more and more and more and more going on in the world. Okay, Mardlish babies. So we need to now swing back, but I hope that, bless Albania, that they get their wish, there we are, and they keep that island. Okay, because that's going to affect everything. Okay, Mardlish babies. So it's not just simple things about taking an island, it affects everything. And nobody's got a right to do that and go and build their poxy glass square effing buildings. You know what I mean? Maardlish babies, because that's what it would be, wouldn't it? Maardlish babies, yes. Okay. When they're not doing that bloody whatever else. But there is a lot of tunnels or something, or was I mishearing something? Anyway, Maardlish babies. So let's swing now back to Russia with the Chinese street names. No, you see, what's going on here, Maardlish babies, is this, and thank you, trigonometry, because I've got to be honest, I never knew that Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? See, with myself, I listen to lots of different videos, different uploaders. I will advertise my regular ones who I listen to all the time, Maardlish babies, and I do it in a certain sequence, okay? But the point of the matter is, Maardlish babies, is this, is that it's quite obvious to myself, and it should be to yourselves, Maardlish babies, that naturally, if you hear it, bing, bing, first time, you'd say, oh, yeah, it's China that's doing it. It's China. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And I stand by everything there we are that I say. Okay, I'm not good with maps and geopolitical and everything. I'm certainly shit at maths. I tell you that, Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? I'm not the best when it comes to mathematics, Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? I certainly know that, you know, 2 and 2 comes to 4 and things like this now then, do you know what I mean? Maardlish babies. But anyway, so what they've done, say, they'd already, in my view, taken over China. Okay, Maardlish babies, enslaved the poor Chinese. There we are, made their lives. And of course, you've got, you know, Bangladesh, you know, who clean everything up. They've gone through it. You've got India, you know, look at what's going on with their country at the moment. You know, they've got a little small side, you know, where it's all glass buildings and everything. And the other side, you know, it's every man for himself. And of course, you know, you got Indonesia where, you know, and Sri Lanka, not to mention Sri Lanka, you know, so you got all that going on there, Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? So it's all slave labour. There we are, all slave labour. But of course, China is the one that they could, it's quite obvious to myself, there we are, long time, that, you know, they've done everything, you know, in China, you know, and of course, you know, for everywhere else. But of course, what they then did is then they, let's just say, they knitted themselves into all of the countries, Maardlish babies. If you look at our old England, Maardlish babies, let me tell you, the old bill stations, Chinese, is there we are, is off the scales, Maardlish babies. And of course, if you tell somebody, to be honest, they never knew that. But I've known, there we are, for a very long time, Maardlish babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. So the fact of the matter is that no, this is not China. It's only under the disguise. There we are. Do you see what I mean, Maardlish babies? All that they're doing is they've nestled. That's it. That's what you call it. It's nestling, isn't it? You know, it's like my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday, because my beautiful little Maisie Moo, you know, she just like does that. You know, little pussycats do that, but sometimes little Rubes will do what you call nestling, you know, where she's just trying to get herself comfortable. You've seen our beautiful little babies, haven't you, Maardlish baby, when they're trying to get themselves comfortable or they circle themselves around, and then they just keep doing that, you know. Same thing, Maardlish babies. So that's all that they've done. They've just moved there to there, and there we are. There we are, simple things. There we are, what they've done. But of course, it's all under the disguise. You see what I mean, Maardlish babies? Now, I mean, others, they can, you see, I would have just thought, there we are, it was ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. There we are. That's what I would have thought, Maardlish babies, but clearly not. I'm not talking about yourselves, Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? But, yeah, you need sort of be looking, there we are, a lot closely. There we are, at things that are going on. Do you see what I mean? It's like they're moving, so they're there, so they're nestled there, then they're going to be moving. Do you see what I'm saying? There we are. You see? And yeah, so really, I mean, there's not a lot else really for me to really say today, Maardlish babies, you know what I mean? But I'll go back to the little angel again, you know. Little angels usually have really pretty little angel eyes. Ooh. You know what I mean? Or maybe you can have that other, you've got to look at the years as well, Martin. So maybe you could have the, is it arithmetics? Arithmetics? Or is it arithmetics? Arithmetics. Yeah. Must be talking to an angel. Must be talking to an angel. What year was that, Martin? Babies? But the one thing I really know of is that little angels should not be seen with no birth race. But nevertheless, it's a pretty little piece, so I'm going to keep her. Yeah, she's very sweet. Anyway, I know where she's come from, so there we are. Okay, Martin, babies, but yeah. And the other thing that trigonometry blessing said, is what was it they were talking about? And they were talking to you, man. It's like you can is it something to do with the book? And then it's like you feel like you read the book, so you don't need to bother with it anymore. Yeah, you see, we feel like that, don't we, Martin babies? It's like when you look at what's going on in the world, Martin babies. You know what I mean? It's like it could be like this is my wording, not trigonometry, is that's okay. But it's like a bit of deja vu. It's like you feel like you've read a book before, so you don't really need to, and it weren't really that grand. So you don't really need to say the same shit again, do you? Or read the same shit. Do you see what I mean, Martin? Babies, yes. You see, that's why I take ham in pieces, bits and pieces. There we are, little bits out. You see what I mean, Martin? Babies, yes. And then just before I go, then of course you got the other side of things now, where you've got the the Jewish Martin babies. Now, if anybody wants to say, listen, I'm not racist, prejudiced against it. And anyway, I'm not even going to go down this road, okay? But look what's happening in our poor lovely Cyprus at the moment, and Greece, Martin babies, you know what I mean? So the point is, Martin babies, how do I want to leave my widow? Yeah, there's a lot of widows, isn't there? And black widows. The wind's picking up, Martin babies. Well, all that I'm saying is, when they're keeping you focused, there we are, on one thing now. You've got all of these other things now, there we are, going on. Mardelistic babies, do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So this is what I'm talking about. But, you see, not being nasty, but you have got some of the alternative media. You've got thousands of videos to choose from, believe me on that one. But they're all running a line, aren't they? There we are, Mardelistic babies, you know what I mean? But then they're not looking at other parts. You see what I mean, Martinish babies? I did a video some years ago as well to do with Alaska. You know what I mean, Martinish babies? Yes. There's just so much. I mean, if you really look at it, see, we're all just, there we are, we're all connected. But, when they sort of cut all different pieces of land into all different pieces. But I do have a belief that yes, that you can come from, if you go back many years ago. I do not believe in all this bullshit where it's flipping 50,000 years ago and all this crap and all that jazz. Because I just do not believe in that shit. You know what I mean? I certainly do not believe we've been here for 50,000 years. No, I do not. Okay? It probably feels that way, Martin babies, but we haven't. That's just my belief, Martin babies, you know what I mean? But I just feel that we've got to start really paying, there we are, a lot of attention, but it seems to myself that they're doing their utmost to stop us from looking at other places. There we are. Okay, Martin babies, and this is what they're doing. You see? And then, of course, so you got poor lovely Cyprus and lovely Greece. Then you got poor lovely Lebanon. What's been going on there? But, You see, the thing is as well, and then we hear about, a lot to do with the Israel, and then we hear that, you see, a lot of this marginalistic babies, okay, is to do with brainwashing, okay, because I do not believe any man, any soldier, well, you're always going to get a narcissist, you're always going to get a piece of shit, they're, they are in society, marginalistic babies, all over the world, do you know what I mean? But for the average, there we are, they want to do good. You know what I mean? Marginalistic babies, okay, but then they find themselves getting roped into doing things that, well, let's just say it's like making a cup of tea, I suppose. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're being indoctrinated every single day that everything's all right to do, then you're going to fall in line with it, aren't you? Because you do not want to be the only one left out. Do you see what I mean? Because then you get bullied. So you can see what's going on behind all of this, but really, if you look at the soldiers, now, I mean, whether anybody agrees with my view or not is really, I couldn't give a fiddler's F about that, quite frankly. I'm just giving my feelings and thoughts on what I'm hearing and seeing. And to myself, I feel that, let's just say, soldiers know fully well, there we are, what is right and what is wrong. Okay? So part of it, I would say that some of them are pretty narcissistic. And I would say probably a very small percentage are like little psychopaths, you know what I mean? But I would also say that that this is being, well, we could say that ones have a choice. I'm not so sure that ones that all have a choice, really. Marginalistic babies, you know what I mean? But like I say, so when you really look at it, you've got, to who it may concern, taking over. Do you understand? Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, to do with the Russia, to do with the streets, to do with street names, to do with everything else under disguise of China. And then you've got the other side of it where, bless the other dear countries that were there being bombed and everything like this, and then they could take over there. Do you see what I mean? And then, of course, you've got others like Iran and everything like this now then, where ones have sort of been focusing. But of course, we're not hearing a lot to do with the Ukraine and Russia war. I mean, if you go back to, where was it? Was it 2022 or something? With all that, I mean, ones were getting strikes, two-way. You know what I mean? Marginalistic babies, off YouTube and other platforms and everything. Do you know what I mean? So can you see, there we are, how this is rocking and rolling, marginalistic babies, do you see? Okay? But I will say something now, marginalistic babies, and then I'm going to be over and out. I will say this, marginalistic babies, okay? Ones are realising now, okay, that more and more, there we are, really understanding, there we are, the crack what's going on. And somebody mentioned yesterday, and it did make me laugh, okay? And I forgot what upload. I genuinely have marginalistic babies, but of course I'd forgotten about it already. You know what I mean? I'd already mentioned it on a couple of my videos, marginalistic babies, okay. But then I was telling others as well when I was out and about, whether it be shopping, whether it be taking my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday, beautiful little Maisie Moo for a walk, or sometimes she comes with us, or Auntie Collins' little Ginny, and I'll be telling everybody. I say, don't believe, you know what I mean? The Hunter virus, marginalistic babies. Well, yes, it's true, isn't it? So good on you to the uploader. I forgot who said it now. But yeah, where it's, it's like coming in, isn't it? Then it's going out just as bloody damn quickly, you know what I mean? Marginalistic babies. So I personally feel, there we are, that, we can say that there was, yes, there was a lot of sadness, job losses, suicides, very sadly, back in the old pandemic, marginalistic babies. But then there's the other side of things now where, ones who were normally living their everyday lives for some, come to realise that the world is very different, Mads Licht baby. So it's like a double edge, isn't it? So you got the good side and you got the bad side of it, and may everybody rest in peace. You know, Marvelous babies. And anyway, that's the end of my video. So whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, and how I love you all. So you are all super duper wonderful, super duper delicious. You're all beautiful, and I'll love you. Okay? And you just take care of yourselves now then. And I do hope, my delicious little babies, that you all have wonderful and delicious and pleasant weather wherever you are in the world. So until my next video, my little lovelies, lovely jubblies, okay? I'm off now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments, and how I love you also, okay? I just give my on what my thoughts are, what's going on in the world. Anyway, love you. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.